Church of Rock and Roll is the first track on the album. It's I would describe an adolescent punk rock song about my love for rock and roll, and has a lot of my musical influences referenced in the song. I'm not sure how many, but maybe you can try and see how many you can find. It was a piece of music that I had from a previous band and I really liked. Rewrote the lyrics to kind of fit in with this idea that I have of, you know, people often talk about the death of rock and roll, but as far as I'm concerned, something that will never die, and the passion and the energy of that kind of music will stick around. So wanted to put that down in music, and that's what Church of Rock and Roll is. Always is the second track, and it's kind of about being so stuck in a relationship that you kind of forget about the outside world. And I think probably most of us have been in that kind of situation where it's really hard to let go of another person. So it's really about finding your way in a relationship, but as part of the outside world, and letting go of the things that we sometimes cling to in our relationships, to try and find something that's a bit more positive. So let it show. So 95 is clearly a song about 1995. It was quite an important time in my life. Me and my three best friends, Glenn, Steve and Bobby, who were all referenced in the song. Kind of, it was the summer where we all hung out and we got up to things that teenagers got up to. So I think I was quite lucky growing up in the 90s in terms of the culture and the music, Britpop, Brit rock, grunge. There's some great music around, and because of the importance of that summer for me as a teenager as well, I wanted to get something down, and 95 is what came out, and I think it's quite representative of that time. It's got that Britpop kind of feel, an upbeat kind of summery song, so hope you like it. Refugee is actually a track that I wasn't going to record for the album. It's one of my older songs, and I guess, you know, it'd been around for such a long time, I'd kind of got tired of it, but so many of my friends and family who've known the song for a long time pretty much told me it was my best song and that I'd be crazy not to put it on the album. So I, for once in my life, listened to the people around me, and we recorded it, and it's actually probably the song that I'm most happy with out of all the recordings on the album. And so I'm really glad that they talked me into that. It's basically a song about isolation and kind of the desperation of the human spirit, and comes from a darker part and place in my life when I was, you know, a little less happy with myself. So it's heavily inspired by my love for the Manics, and I think that probably comes across in the track, in the energy and the emotion. So that's Refugee. We Are the Ones is a positive track. I wanted to write something that was quite uplifting in contrast to some of my earlier music, and I guess it came from the idea of getting older and maybe people thinking that with time you have less value in the world, but that's not something I really see. In fact, you know, I feel like my life gets better as I get older and I get stronger and have more energy and more passion for things. So it's really a song about that, just, you know, you're never too old to achieve things, and I think all humans have the potential for greatness, and so I'm just really trying to capture that and maybe inspire a few people with the idea that together, you know, we can achieve greatness in this world.
If I could live forward instead of falling back, then maybe this time would be my own.
Writing in the Sand's kind of more of an acoustic-based song. Originally I wrote it with the intention to try and emulate maybe someone like Frank Turner, who I think is a great musician, and his music's quite acoustically driven. So I kind of just sat down with my acoustic guitar and tried to do something different, and that song came out really, musically and lyrically. it's about kind of getting in the way of yourself, really. So I spent a lot of my life being my own worst enemy. So it's kind of about trying to stop looking in the past or looking too forward in the future, and just really trying to live in the present.
I'm wise, but I'm still terrified. This life is not my